They trying to get that fight more of a, like, oh, it's gonna be a good fight, but no. Roach a decent fighter, but Tank gonna dog him. Tank gonna dog him.
Didn't look so great. In the rematch, Gervonta can do a lot more better. Roach can't.
And almost ready to make happen, but he has to do his rematch with Lamont and get that W, and then we'll be able to run it back.
Frank Martin is confident that Gervonta Davis will deliver a dominant and violent finish in his rematch against Lamont Roach. Speaking with conviction, Martin predicted an early knockout, saying this fight won't go the distance. He believes Tank is coming with plans to completely overwhelm Roach. According to Martin, Davis isn't just looking to win. He's aiming to stop Roach in the early rounds.
You know, they're just gonna automatically think somebody ducking or somebody running, so that right there nowadays is something that the fans don't take into consideration. They don't give, like, it's just automatically they ducking, something like that.
For sure. In 1 week, Tank versus Roach, how did the fight end? What does Tank do that makes it so successful? You got the experience.
Tank gonna work. You know, I feel like Tank gonna dog him. They trying to give that fight more of a, like, oh, it's gonna be a good fight, but no. Roach a decent fighter, but Tank gonna dog him. Tank gonna dog him.
For sure, I agree, bro.
They wanna make it seem like it's gonna be better, but they know, like, Tank and his people, you know, they can Roach up.
For sure.
Frank Martin has offered an insightful perspective on Gervonta Davis's power, especially after experiencing it firsthand in sparring. According to Martin, Tank's strength isn't always loud or obvious. It's the sneaky punches, the ones that slip under guard or catch opponents mid-motion, that are most effective. Martin emphasized how deceptive Davis's shots can be. What appears light from the outside can carry serious impact. These observations come from direct experience, giving Martin's words added weight as he prepares fans for what Tank might unleash in the rematch.
Is it really, like, devastating power?
I mean, he got power, you know what I mean? But it's more like he do a great job at landing this big shot, you know? He know how to land that shot, you know, hit guys on the button and just get them up out of there, you know?
Reflecting on their training sessions, Frank Martin admitted that he underestimated Davis at first. He didn't expect the intensity and control Tank would bring to the ring. Martin described the sparring as tough and revealing, referring to Davis as a beast for the way he maintained pressure and used timing to control the pace. These sessions proved to Martin and anyone watching that Davis brings a special kind of energy when he steps inside the ropes. This acknowledgement from a fellow top-tier boxer highlights just how formidable Davis can be when he's dialed in.
It just showed me, like, these guys ain't off the radar, you know, he ain't do nothing to you that, like, you ain't never had happen to you, or, you know, it wasn't nothing like that. I didn't go in there like, oh, this is Gervonta Tank Davis, you know? I didn't get in the ring like that. That's what a lot of people do. I got in there like he's just another, you know, sparring partner, and the sparring was solid.
Now, was it here in Vegas?
It was in Vegas.
It was at the Mayweather
It was at Floyd Gym.
Give me some perspective on that, because you hear all these stories, like they had the doghouse where these guys are all around the court, they tapping the mat and doing all. What was that like?
There was probably about 40 people in the gym. Floyd was even there. It was live, you know. It was just everybody was loud, you know. It was they weren't hitting the ring or nothing, but everybody was just like stuck kinda, you know, in the sparring. But that's what it was.
What was the best compliment you got maybe after everything was done?
I was a beast. You know, they're like, man, like they was just looking like, man, you're a beast.
Yeah.
You got something.
Describing their in-ring moments, Frank Martin recalled how Davis wasted no time once the fight began. In Martin's words, Davis entered with urgency, closed the distance, and launched straight into action. The aggressive opening made it difficult for Martin to find rhythm or space. Tank's explosiveness and ability to switch gears caught him off guard. The description paints a picture of a fighter who doesn't hesitate, someone who reads a moment and strikes while the opponent is still settling in. That same explosiveness might be on full display in the rematch against Roach.
Do all this, he get on the rope, like first 30 seconds of the first round, he get in there, he on the ropes, bobbing his head, boom, threw that left at him. Shook the legs. We had a real ref, Floyd there, everybody. Shook the legs. He say I ain't shake the room. I shook the room, right?
Yeah.
Shook the legs. He grabbed me. You know, he ended up holding me. But as soon as I hit him, I'm trying to throw floors. I ain't really got the the understanding of certain things. I just hurt him. Natural, boom. So I'm trying to well off on him. So he grabbed me, boom. He clinch up, grab. So when he grabbed, the ref push off on me, I get back on him, boom. Somehow he get me in the headlock. He squeezed down on the headlock. We arguing in between the ref. I'm telling the ref, like, shit, he, got me in the headlock, choking on me. So then he like, shut up, boom. He snuck me through like the ref, it's the ref, me, him. So he like stole on me in between the ref, like punched me over the ref's shoulder or whatever. So I'm like, all right. So then we get back to sparring, boom.
One of the more controversial stories surrounding Davis involves a moment where Floyd Mayweather allegedly gave inside advice to Frank Martin before their bout. Despite the unexpected leak of strategy, Davis still came out on top. This scenario is a testament to his adaptability. Even when an opponent had insights into his preparation, Davis adjusted and found a way to win. It underlines his mental sharpness and instinctive ability in the ring, traits that go beyond tactics and into raw ring intelligence.
Young fighters, he loves to embrace guys. So what was being around, talking to Floyd? Like, what has Floyd taught you about fighting? And has it made you a better fighter? Because he could tell me all day to do that shit he does. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what does being around a guy like Floyd do for you?
He could tell you, go run at 2 in the morning. Go do it when, cause 9 times out of 10, we know your opponent sleep at that time. So go run at 2 in the morning and go give yourself a mental edge, cause you out there working every night at 2 in the morning running. That's a lot of the times your opponent sleep. It could be little things that'll take you to the next level. That Floyd, a person like Floyd, like if he tell you that, you gonna take a lot of heave to it and it's gonna give you a different type of motivation when you doing it. He could show you something. And it could be the same thing. You might not be able to do it like him, but just it coming from him, it'll give you like a different type of like feel about yourself.
Hold up, limitless, nigga, some cap pinning it. I thought they hear the.
He the one told Frank that I was running at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, Friday. He told Frank that. He was giving Frank tips and stuff like that. But I knew for sure that wasn't gonna be enough to beat me. It's cool. It's all right. I don't really think too much of it. He's not gonna hurt me. You know what I mean? So it's good to beef with him than be cool with him because he can do some crazy stuff. He'll put you in bad situations.
After the first fight ended with questions, Davis now faces more than just Roach. He faces a weight of expectation. The rematch is a moment to reset the narrative and reclaim control over how the boxing world sees him. The surprise many fans felt in the first bout was less about the result and more about how evenly matched it seemed. For a fighter like Davis, whose reputation is built on dominance, this is the moment to clarify things. A strong performance would not just win the fight, it would restore the image of a fighter who commands respect.
Lamont Roach, he feels that he won. Like, do you think the best thing going forward, they should just run it back, have a rematch?
Oh, yes, most definitely. I think a rematch is definitely called for. And I think probably, the sooner the better. Yeah. So I would say, hey, let's work on a deal to where we could get in there within the next 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, I agree there.
Pundits have pointed out that Davis wasn't performing at his full potential during the initial match. Several elements, ranging from strategy to conditioning, seemed off. On the other hand, Roach was praised for fighting the best match of his career. This dynamic sets the stage for the rematch. While Roach may not have room for much growth, Davis is believed to have significant areas to sharpen. The consensus is, if Davis brings his best, it will tip the scale heavily in his favor.
Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach, the rematch is on. Lamont Roach fought a perfect fight. Gervonta didn't look so great. In the rematch, Gervonta can do a lot more better. Roach can't. Gervonta may win this one.
Talks of an exhibition fight involving Davis will resume after the Roach rematch, and that adds a layer of motivation. Though the weight difference between the fighters is notable, both camps have expressed interest in making it happen. The bout will be positioned as a spectacle, not a ranking-defining match, and could generate substantial attention for Davis. A clear win over Roach isn't just about reputation. It's a gateway to new opportunities, including crossover events that bring fresh fans into the sport.
But me and Gervonta were scheduled to fight for sure.
How real or what was to it with you and Tank actually being the thing? Was that something that was talked about?
Yeah, no, it was highly talked about and in negotiations and almost ready to make happen, but he has to do his rematch with Lamont and get that W, and then we'll be able to run it back. But me and Gervonta were scheduled to fight for sure.
Analyzing the first bout, many observers noted that Davis showed uncharacteristic lapses. His defensive slips allowed Roach to connect more than expected, and his energy seemed to dip in the final rounds. These aren't traits normally associated with a fighter of his caliber. The rematch is Davis's chance to either reinforce those concerns or erase them entirely. With a more focused training camp and improved execution, he can shift the narrative from doubt to dominance.
Roach exposed weaknesses of Tank Davis. It very much reminds me of Rolly Romero versus Ryan Garcia. What Roach did, Rolly was doing the same thing. He ended up implementing it better against Ryan Garcia. Tank was having huge issues, and that's the Black Two Sugars. Watch me call that fight. I started laughing. I couldn't believe it because all he was patient with good power. All Roach was patient. He stayed focused. That's why him drinking and partying and shit is messing with me, because he beat him here. He stayed so damn focused, and he knew when Tank was going to punch. He knew when not to punch, and when he countered Tank, he rocked Tank. Tank got rocked at least twice that fight.
After the match, Davis was transparent about the challenges he faced outside the ring. The weight of personal struggles had impacted his preparation and performance. He spoke openly about the pressure that comes with fame and expectations. It was a rare glimpse into the human side of an elite athlete.
He wants to do therapy. He wants to do real estate. They want to say he wasn't all in because him and Roach are friends, and he's going to be focused for the second fight. A lot of excuses. They want to say it's because of the braids, the oil getting in his eye. Whatever. This is what really happened. And I just now came to this conclusion because I've been making some other videos for Patreon, but Lamont Roach posted a video recently on...
Although the first bout didn't end the way Davis had hoped, the initial round still reflected his strengths. His quick counters and footwork stood out before momentum shifted. Analysts believe these flashes are proof of what Davis can achieve when he stays disciplined. The key this time will be maintaining that control over the full duration of the fight. If Davis starts strong and stays consistent, he could leave no doubt.
Tank Davis draw with Lamont Roach. People looking at it as controversial because of the whole knee. What'd you think of the fight?
It was a great fight. I had it 7-5 Tank, or you can make it the draw. But I feel like Lamont, he did good. He did a great job, actually. I just don't think he did enough to pull it off. And I feel like people was overlooking what Tank was doing in the first 5-6 rounds. He was boxing and frustrating him a little bit. But Lamont, like I said before, Lamont did a great job.
Yeah, some people had it some people had it Tank, some people had it draw, some people had it Lamont. Do you think Tank gets a lot of criticism for not knocking Lamont out and Lamont not being in big names, so they overblow it?
I think so, yeah. And I feel like people just don't like Tank to a point where any little thing, just because he ain't knock him out, he probably feel as though that he lost and he didn't, or it was a draw. I feel like Tank was doing a lot of smart things in the beginning, moving a little bit too much, but I feel like he was still frustrating him and things like that. And I think Tank did a good job. He looked sharp to me. And I don't know, people just be talking. At the end of the day, you can't please everybody.
The decision to schedule an immediate rematch has been widely praised. Rather than letting speculation linger, both fighters agreed to settle things quickly. This approach has kept the buzz alive and the fans engaged. For Davis, it's a chance to fix things without delay. For Roach, it's an opportunity to prove the first match wasn't a fluke.
Big credit here, because I have a lot of criticism for Gervonta Davis and Canelo Alvarez for the choice of opponents. But at least Gervonta Davis is doing the Mayweather. He's giving the immediate rematch.
Right.
You had a tough fight, you're doing the immediate rematch. I like it.
All right, so what I'm
I need
curious
to
about,
push back real quick.
Yeah, I knew you would. Go ahead.
Push back. I'm giving the guy credit.
I like Gervonta Davis. I know you talk a lot about his opponents and whatever, and you're talking about Lamont Roach.
We're not going to pick a
But okay,
Find me a less than a 10 to 1 underdog and he fought on pay-per-view.
Look, I'm talking about this fight right here. Look at the first fight. So picking Lamont Roach, you're saying, oh, he's basically cherry picking is what you're alluding to. He has a history with the guy. They've been in the gym together. They sparred together. They fought in the amateurs. He knew the level that Lamont brought. Also, Lamont's one of those guys. You ask anybody in the boxing world, they know how good Lamont is, and it's like his record. Leading up to him getting to the title shot or getting his title win, it's kind of like, the Jamel Herring fight's really hard to forget. He struggled with some guys that you wouldn't expect him to, but he's really come into his own because the guy who was in the gym that everybody saw coming up has been realized now. So I don't think Gervonta Davis was handpicking an easy guy in Lamont Roach. Stylistically, listen, Gervonta's team's not dumb. They look at what this guy can do and where he can give him troubles. And it certainly worked out that way. Did they overlook him a little bit in terms of being like, I beat him back then. He struggled here and there. I'm just too good. I'm at a different level. I think that Lamont really stepped up. So I'm going. Gervonta's that good, but guess what? So's Lamont.
So I was exaggerating. That's what you're saying. I'm exaggerating.
You tend to be hyperbolic at times, yes.
Commentator Joe Rogan pointed out a strategic quality in Davis that's often overlooked. Rather than attacking recklessly, Davis tends to use the early rounds as a study session. He observes, analyzes, and then attacks with purpose. According to Rogan, this style is what makes Davis dangerous, if he's able to decode Roach's rhythm again, but this time with sharper execution. It could lead to a much more decisive outcome.
Gervonta Tank Davis reveals that he will be training back with Calvin Ford for the rematch with Lamont Roach. I believe this is the best move for Tank because Tank was not the same fighter when he switched trainers. Because a lot of people thought that he lost that fight, but it went to a draw. And yes, guys, this is the same fight when Tank Davis took a knee because some baby oil or some grease went into his eye. I hope him switching trainers make it for a more entertaining fight because the first fight was very boring.
Davis's decision to return to trainer Calvin Ford marked a return to familiarity and structure. Ford was instrumental in shaping Davis's rise through the ranks, and their reunion suggests a back-to-basics approach. Training with someone who understands his habits and mindset has already shown positive signs.
Yeah, we could be better, but I've been all over the world just as I'm sure you've traveled the world 20 times over me, and I truly feel in my heart this is the greatest country. I'm a son of two immigrants. Bakes that didn't have shit. My dad landed on a fucking raft. My mom came from Peru and didn't have fucking $1. She was like the first one to get here, escaping the socialism over there to an extent. It wasn't as bad as Cuba. And I'm a multi-millionaire, bro. Just for doing my passion, my love, something that I fucking love in my heart. And I'm taking care of my family, my family's family, and a couple generations down, I'm gonna be able to fucking contribute to them. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Keep shutting
Popular
up.
dude.
No. It's actually my fucking wake up from my nap alarm.
You got naps incorporated into your day?
Not always, but just in case, you know.
Every now and then.
Yeah,
sleep.
every now and then, a little sleep. Not too much though.
How many have you changed as you've gotten older? Have you changed your workout routine? Have you done anything? Yeah.
Yes, no. So I one thing I like to do is obviously shock my body, but I also like to get like long training sessions in. You know, I remember Bernard Hopkins would talk about it a lot, like where he would just do the basics for a very, very long time and just doing it. And it's very boring and monotonous just for me to like just throw one jab constantly, things like that. But I feel that it just like re-sparks maybe things that I should be sharpening up. And it becomes cardio at some point, you know, as I'm doing it for so long, it becomes cardio and it becomes specific cardio to what I'm doing. So a lot of my sessions, I'll have like a 2 to 3 hour session first thing in the morning when like nice and strong and I have the full gas tank. Then I'll take my little break and then I'll have like another session at night. But it's not always like that. Sometimes when I don't have a fight, I'll do 3 sessions a day, but they won't be like crazy. It'll be maybe a strength and conditioning that lasted about 45 minutes to an hour and 15. And I took a big break. Then I came back in the midday, had like a good technique session where I'm just focused on positions that I'm not efficient in and just doing them over and over and over.
Many analysts feel that Davis entered the first fight with a sense of overconfidence. That mindset may have influenced his training and execution, leading to a performance that surprised fans for the wrong reasons. But the lesson has clearly resonated. All signs now point to a more focused and dedicated Davis. He's training harder, speaking less, and refining every part of his approach. For Roach, this means facing a version of Davis who won't make the same mistake twice.
Quick one from me, Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach rematch has been set. We expect it to happen. I think after the first fight, Tank was kind of like, if he wants to fight him or not, but we all kind of knew what else is there for. Well, there is stuff for them both to go off and do, but it was Tank's first time actually going to a draw, so he knew they were going to want to run it back. They're probably going to make way more money from this rematch too. How do I think it goes? Man, listen. Tank, when he's fighting in the pro fight, he's a counter puncher. Through and through, he's a counter puncher. Low volume, counter puncher. Lamont Roach was able to use his feet, knowing to go in and out the pocket, know how to block the shot, and also he rolled a lot of the shots very, very well as well. So Tank wasn't really able to get the shots off that he does. With Tank to a degree, it's almost like, if I don't knock you out, I'm pissed. Kind of like Wilder-esque. Wilder, one with the Luis Ortiz fight, the second fight, Wilder barely threw a punch the whole fight until he knocked him out in the 7th or 8th round. It's kind of like with Tank as well. And it's a shame because I think Tank is better than that. I think he's like, if you go back and watch one of his old clips when he used to spar in the Mayweather gym, he wasn't counter punching so much. He was coming forward a bit more. Maybe because they got head guards on and bigger gloves. Maybe he felt more comfortable doing it. But he wasn't so much of he wasn't primarily counter punching in those clips we saw. It wasn't clips of a whole fight, but those clips that we did see. I know he has it in him to be more than just a counter puncher, but it seems like when it comes to the pro rank, it's just what he's resigned himself to want to do. It'll be interesting. I thought the first time Tank would beat him, because what Roach showed me before that didn't really show what guy would win. Into the second fight, if Tank goes in again with the same kind of tactics, he could very well lose on points. Roach was able to keep his legs for all 12 rounds and kind of fight at the same pace. Tank's power didn't really phase Roach. Now, I'm not saying it won't in the second fight, but it did it in the first fight. So it'll be interesting to see how the fight goes. It'll be fun to watch. I'll be definitely tuning in. How do you think it goes? Do you think Tank can get the win this time or not? I would be more inclined to think maybe Tank can actually do it this time, and he will probably let his hands go a bit more. But look, Roach was doing great counter punches himself. But when Tank did let his hands go.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more fight breakdowns and inside access. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.